Let's do it, I guess.
Let's do it. So, guys, welcome to what is going to be episode 7 of the Anatomy Podcast. In this episode, instead of staying within the States, we are jumping all the way over to Jakarta, Indonesia. For our guest today is going to be none other than the vocalist behind the how do you pronounce it? I do apologize.
No worries, man. It's Makhlvk.
Makhlvk, right?
Perfect.
Sick. Yeah. All right. So Makhlvk, which if I'm freaking Randiness, he said it means creatures in Indonesian, right?
Yep.
Awesome. I did my homework a little bit, but
yeah, it's sorry.
No, you're good. You do your thing.
Yeah. So it means creatures, but in the context of supernatural beings like ghosts and all that stuff.
Yeah, I fucking love it. It's really cool. But to say the least, we are sitting here today with this just genius of a musician. We are learning his story, and then we are learning the story of his project so far, all of its contributions to the scene, all of the boundaries it has broken, I would say, as a vocalist. So, to start off, we're going to go ahead and dive into part 1, section 1 of the Anatomy Podcast. Mr. Let's see, I'm trying to make sure that I pronounce your name right. It's Agung Anak. How do you pronounce your name?
It's Agung Anak Agun Ggde, but you got the Agung perfectly
Right.
pronounced.
Sweet. Well, there you go. Agung. So his real name is Agung, just in case you guys didn't know. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be relatively fresh news. Like, this is just... I know this is going to be awesome for everybody to, like, just learn more about the gentleman behind the mask, in which, if you are familiar with his music videos, he usually wears a mask. Like, he doesn't really show his face that often, but, you know, very, very charming guy, very, very humble guy. And yeah, see, there's the mask right there. If you've seen that mask, this is the motherfucker behind those songs. This is the dude behind all of that just really intense, really just crazy music that you're like, how the hell did he do this on his own? If I'm getting that correctly, you do make all that stuff on your own, right?
Yep, all the instruments, all the production, everything.
See, this guy is a prodigy in the making, developing in and just like kind of brewing and stewing in just this like big old pool of like just strange, like weird stuff. But sometimes, being the counterculture, the weirdest stuff makes the best stuff. And this guy is an example of that. So, just to kind of like pull it back a little bit on my end, because I usually go on tangents, basically we will have 2 sections, in which the first section we're going to be learning about this dude as a person, Mr. Agung, and then we'll be going into the second section learning about the band itself, the lyrical content, the releases so far, and what is to come. So, to say the least, my friend Agung, be sure to introduce yourself, anything that you're not wanting to really share. Be free just to not do that in the first place. But tell us a bit about yourself, everything we should know about you, and then where you came from and how you developed into a musician.
Sure. Yeah. First of all, before I start, so I think you're being way too nice. Thank you so much.
Of course. Of course.
So yeah, how did I become a musician? That's actually a weird story, actually. I used to not like music as a subject back in school. Like it was just like the worst subject for me. Like I listened to a lot of bands, right? But it wasn't just like my forte. So yeah, I started off listening to as usual, as everyone else, Linkin Park, Blink 182, and every band you probably see on MTV.
Yeah.
So so it would start off as those, until one day, someone actually introduced me to metal, and that changed everything. I remember it was just like lunchtime in my school. I think I was like probably like 12 or 13, I can't remember. So I was just listening to my Walkman at that time. Yeah, I'm pretty old.
Dude, Walkmans are cool.
So yeah,
I want to get one.
yeah, bro.
Like,
Yeah. So I was listening to like Blink 182 at that time, and a friend of mine just came up to me and said like, "Yo, what are you listening to?" I was like, Blink 182, man, what's up? He's like, oh no, don't listen to Blink 182. They suck, man. Listen to some heavy metal. I'm like, oh, heavy metal, what's that? And he's like, "Oh yeah, you should listen to this band called Slipknot. They're a bunch of guys wearing masks and stuff. So you'll love them." So yeah, the first thing I did after school was I just went to a CD store, um, bought a Slipknot CD. I think at that time it was the Subliminal Versus Volume 3.
Ah,
So I
okay.
turned it on. I turned it on. Listen to the first song. Got quite weirded out. And when it came to the second song, "The Blister Exists," it sort of basically changed my whole perception of music. I was just like, "Whoa!" That first riff, the one that goes dun 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 dun. I was like,
Yeah.
"Whoa!" I've never heard of anything so heavy before. So yeah, dude, I was basically so amazed, and that got me hooked straight away into music. And just from there on, like, yo, I want to start doing this, and I want to start listening to more metal. So yeah, from there on, I explored, and went into these whole new metal bands like Mudvayne, Mushroom Heads, and start buying like Metal Hammer magazine, or I don't know how to pronounce it, Kerrang.
I
Yeah,
think,
so
yeah. Like, I don't know how to pronounce it either, and I'm from the States,
yeah,
so you're good.
yeah, man. So I started buying all these magazines and just like start browsing and just looking at how the bands look and just deciding how they would sound like. So after that, just like discovering Cradle of Filth, Dimmu Borgir, and all that stuff.
Dude, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, man. So it was just like, oh, they look cool. So I had to search it up online. I think at that time, it was just with Kaza and LimeWire. So yeah, I had to do that at that time because metal wasn't too accessible in Indonesia, as in like
Right.
you don't have that many original CDs here. So, and if they do have it, it's like super expensive, like 5 times the original price because it's so
Ugh.
rare.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, I had to do that, and then at one point, it got moved to more core style, like the early Avenged Sevenfold
Yeah.
and Bullet for My Valentine, all of that, and eventually Metal Hammer released this compilation of CDs, and in that CD there was this band called the Black Dahlia Murder, and when I first heard it, it completely changed my life musically. It's like, oh, what is this? That's the first time I heard like a flawless execution of highs and lows, and such heavy guitar riffing, but at the same time
Right.
melodic. And yeah, that pretty much changed my life, and I listened to death metal and deathcore ever since. So yeah, but that there's I am almost 30, and still listening to all those stuff now. I don't think I'll ever grow out of it. So yeah, man, that's how I got into the metal genre, I guess. But how I got into music in general is a bit strange. Like as I mentioned before, I didn't like music as a subject.
Right.
Like yeah, I was just bad at it. I couldn't read notes as everyone
Oh.
else. 'Cause, yeah,
Right.
it was like a proper like my school had like this proper classical music stuff. So I just wasn't capable of learning, I guess. It's so difficult. So yeah, but yeah, I ended up picking up a guitar because I was a a gaming geek kind of guy. So at that point of time, there was this game that's called O2 Jam. It's like the Korean equivalent of Guitar Hero, where you can have like characters and stuff.
So,
So yeah, yeah, my character played guitar, and one day, I was in a mall passing down a guitar store, and I literally just begged my parents to buy that exact guitar that my character played. So it was like a red Super Strat. So yeah, that's how it started basically, and just started learning Green Day songs and Blink 182
you
songs.
heard it, people. You heard it. Fresh right here. Like, you guys are getting the juicy stuff. So, basically, my first question, like, just kind of non scripted, just going into and attacking head on what you've told us so far. You said, like, basically, you were into gaming and stuff before you really dived into music. You were kind of intimidated by music theory. That's probably the best way to describe it. So, if it wasn't for you, like, wanting to get a guitar or, like, just happening to play that Korean Guitar Hero bootleg, what do you think you would be doing instead at this moment in time in your life? Like, would you be getting into competitive gaming? Would you be getting into sports? maybe just writing poems or something like that? That's the question I want to ask right off the bat.
Yeah, man, definitely. Probably into competitive online gaming. That's definitely it. So straight
Yeah.
after I picked up the guitar, my passion just changed
Yeah.
completely.
And
I never like put it down.
yeah, dude, that's crazy. And the thing is, like, kind of like making these two stories, making these two individuals, me and him, as parallel as possible, just for the sake of doing so, because it's fun. Basically, before I really got into music, which was just dubstep, I was into EDM, all like the boom, like all that fun stuff. Before that, I was super into games. I was super into Call of Duty and all those shooter games. And if it wasn't for me deciding to get into deathcore, because like there was just something that wasn't right. It wasn't heavy enough. It wasn't like there wasn't as much spirit. I got into bands like Black Veil Brides and Sleeping with Sirens. Had that whole phase. Jumped right into the Cannibal Corpse. I've mentioned this in previous episodes, of course. So I'm only gonna make this it'll be short. But if it wasn't for that, I would have gone into competitive gaming as well. And if not that, I would have been a graphic artist. If not that, I would have been an author. And now I'm basically doing all of those as two different YouTube channels. So it all kind of comes full circle. But speaking on behalf of that, I want to learn a little bit more about like your background, your culture. Indonesia is a very different country compared to the United States, or at least it feels like it for someone who's only been to 4 states in the United States. I haven't even been to all 50. I haven't been to 10. I haven't been to 25. I haven't been to anything more than 4. Simple as that. So the world is a very strange place for people like me who haven't been able to explore a lot. What can you tell me about Indonesia, maybe your favorite things about Indonesia, and the things that you would want to change? Take it away.
Sure. Yeah, it's super different, right? Um, it's a very tropical country, but like I
Ooh.
guess we'll just go straight to the music side, I guess.
Right.
Indonesia is probably has the biggest death metal scene in Asia, like
Oh.
just by population wise. We're just it's just huge, like literally. So this is a Indonesia is pretty much a developing country, right? But like literally, if you go out, you see all these street vendors, right? You see everyone just in the street hustling and stuff. They are like most of them are actually wearing hoodies with like these indistinguishable, unreadable logos. So,
There we
so
go.
it's like it's so huge. I'm not too sure about the scene in the States. I've never played the States before, as in
Right.
as a I've been to I played Australia I toured there before, but not in the States. But yeah, it's crazy here, man. Like the whole band is like everyone's a death metal band. Everyone's
crazy.
slam.
That's
Yeah, it's like
damn,
it's
bro.
so- it's like it's unexpected because it's such a religious country, like,
Right.
but like you go to gigs and then it's literally like biggest gigs ever is like thousands of people gathering, all wearing slam shirts and stuff, and all the bands are like gutturals and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's like it's kind of refreshing to see that.
I can only
Yeah,
imagine.
so that's in terms of music. So yeah, like a lot of bands from Asia, uh they all strive to go to Indonesia and tour around Indonesia because that's their whole death metal scene, or just metal in general is just gigantic here. So it's pretty good, man. But
That's crazy. I did not expect that. But yet again, with you mentioning how Indonesia is such a religious country, you got to think of places like Norway and, well, America, in which very monotheistic religious countries. People find a need to rebel. People find a need to break away from that religion, break away from that cage, that cultural cage, because a lot of people deal with that. And I mean, hell yeah, that makes so much sense. But that's actually really cool. I did not know that Indonesia had such a highlight as far as metal bands, slam bands to be more specific. Like, I did not expect that. Fun facts for everybody happening to listen to this podcast. Like, this is good shit. This is a good, solid episode. I'm loving this so far. Continue. I know you had more to say.
Um, Yeah. I guess talking about like religion, right? It is of course we're so different than Norway and the States. Like
Yeah.
it is definitely illegal to be anti-religious,
Oh.
especially in your lyrics. It's definitely illegal to be Satan, like having Satanist lyrical content. Like
Yeah.
you can get into a lot of trouble, like as in like pretty bad trouble,
Like police and everything?
legally. Yeah. Like we have a law for that. It's called the blasphemy law. So it's very strange, right? But at the same time, it works. Like there's a lot of metal bands here, even
Mhm.
though they're doing like gutturals, pig squeals and stuff. Their lyrical content is usually super positive, which is sometimes it's super strange. As in like you compare it to like Cannibal Corpse or Waking the
Yeah.
Cadaver. Everything is basically super violent. But in Indonesia, you can hear like people singing in gutturals, and their theme is basically about religion or even friendship. Never give up because I mean, it is a struggle every day to live in Indonesia. So it's reflected around the music, and I guess it's sort of strange because you sort of hear like something so dark, so brutal, and when you actually read the lyrics, it's like, whoa, that's actually motivating. It's so that's just the difference in Indonesia. You don't see any bands, or not that I know of, or very few that sing about anti-religion and also Satanism. There's probably like only one or two black metal bands that does that, but I
Right.
don't think they want to show their faces. So yeah,
Right.
so the key like so what's however like what's interesting is we do not like I'm saying we as in like Indonesia.
Right.
Indonesia doesn't like all these content, but however, we have a strange obsession with supernatural beings, so like ghosts and everything. So it's a big part of our culture. So everywhere, it's just like we always have our own myths, our own folklores, and all that stuff. And we're so obsessed with ghosts. Like everything you see on TV is just ghosts, supernatural, psychics, and all that stuff.
Really?
So, yeah, man, it's
What a
we
freaking
are
utopia.
completely we are completely obsessed with that. Like it's so that's like kind of what brought the idea of Makhlvk, to be honest. Like
Right.
I kind of want to make a band that's quote unquote evil, but at the same time not so evil,
Yeah.
but like what us Indonesians could relate to. So
Yeah.
what I did, like we don't have the sort of what do you call it, sort of culture for Satan, Lucifer, and all that, but
Right.
we do have our own in a sense. So I kind of wanna kind of tackle that,
Yeah.
which works well. I mean, like it relates to a lot of Indonesians, and I'm probably not the first band that does it,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely one of the first band that does it in English. So so yeah, so we got a lot of positive respond when I started. Like, yo, I've never heard of kind of like deathcore that talks about all these goats like kuntilanak, tuyul. That's like the equivalent of a banshee in the States, kuntilanak.
Oh. Okay.
And yeah, tuyul is the equivalent of I don't know, gremlins, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Fucking A,
so
bro.
that's just how it is. Lyrical content wise, I try to be as evil as possible, but at the same time, um, you know, like legal.
Yeah, I mean, more or less, in a situation like that, where you have, like, I didn't even expect that. This is very, very just brand new information to me, culture wise, for Indonesia. But when you have a situation like that to where you're not really able to be anti religious per se, it's almost like Makhlvk is telling the story from the demons, from these monsters, from these yokai, from these Makhlvk, and it's personifying it. You're giving them a voice. And I mean, being that your culture apparently is so invested and serious, in which they talk about it regularly on the news, which I would love for that to be a thing here in the States, but everybody's just like, there aren't any monsters, there's the devil, but we don't believe in monsters. I'm like, well, if you believe in the devil, then why don't you believe in his subordinates, per se? And they don't even have to be his subordinates. It doesn't have to be that polar, per se. It doesn't have to have that negative connotation to it. Monsters are just creatures that we don't understand. They are embodiments of fear, in which fear really defines as something we don't understand, in which then we act in a negative bias towards it, whether attacking it, whether trying to kill it, whether trying to dissect it, all those little FBI, sci-fi, fantasy, all that fun stuff. And like, simple as that, you're bringing perspective to the monsters in your culture, to these creatures in your culture. And I personally love that, because I am a huge guy about the supernatural. I want to go on ghost hunts fairly soon. We got skinwalkers here in Arizona, or Wendigos. They're like basically shape-shifting beings based off of the Native Americans. It's freaking cool. And I want to learn and find out the truth behind all of this stuff. Look at me, I sound like someone who should be on the Travel Channel or Discovery. But in all reality, it's a very intriguing thing, because there are so many parts of this earth that we are not constantly aware of. We don't always have constant satellite supervision over major forests. We don't grid out forests, because here in the States at least, in which I'm pretty sure it's a thing for you guys as well, there's a respect for the environment, kinda. We're kind of diminishing that respect over here, but the national forests are like the loosest way of saying that we do respect the environment, and we do respect what was here before we were here, when the Native Americans were here. And I mean, as simple as that, I want to see if half of these monsters, half of these urban legends built throughout culture in multiple countries, like, are any of these things real? Have people actually been attacked by something that's half horse, half man? And it really, like, such a good conversation. And I love that that's what Makhlvk is, to say the least, lyrically. I freaking love that. And that's why I'm glad that we decided to sit down, because I had a feeling this would be a good conversation. But, I don't know, like, so far, with Makhlvk and its releases, what are the main monsters that, like, you've kind of given perspective to, I guess? Lyrical content. Boom. Take it away, boss.
I love that question. So so at first, I guess at first it was like a little bit of kind of a mix. So I mix on a lot of horror stories from the States as well.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess, but most of it is like probably like 90% of the song is just like Indonesian folklores. So I guess can I name all the song?
Yeah.
And I can just briefly tell you what
like,
it's about.
Yeah, just like track monster, track lyrical content. You could just go on forever if you want, man, because I'm sure you got plenty of stories that you've written. And I mean, hell, that's why we have you on here today, because I'm like, you know what, this shit's interesting. I want to learn about it. I want to learn your story. So take it away.
For sure, man. So first track that I've ever released wasn't actually Indonesian, as in like an Indonesian mythical creature.
Right.
It was called Sirenas.
Sirenas.
It's actually about mermaids. Because yeah, I like mermaids. It's about this aquatic ape theory, mockumentary that I watched on Discovery Channel way back then. So pretty much it's like a take on, like, Rings of Saturn wrote about aliens, A Virgin's Crown wrote about aliens. So why don't I just write about mermaids for that song? So that got released. So yeah, it's not much, not too interesting, but it's just about violent mermaid war. So sort of like Deathclock's Mermaider.
Ooh, no, that's actually really cool. And see, like, that's the thing, is when you add depth, when you add story to a song, that's what makes it so much better. You just got all these different bands doing their thing. I mentioned Distant way too much. I praise them, though. Like, they're awesome people. And
heavy.
So freaking heavy. They are the Angus beef factory, boy. Like, goddamn. But you got bands like that who establish a decent narrative continuity. And then you got individuals like Mr. I'm so sorry. Agung. There we go. Jesus. I'm way too white for my own good. But you wrote a song about a mermaid war, man. Like, that's cool. That's basically Aquaman. You know what I mean?
It was before the movie got released though.
Disclaimer. Disclaimer.
But yeah, I'm a big Jason Momoa fan, so don't worry.
Dude, yes, I am too. I aspire to be very similar to him in every sense of the way, beard and
Yeah.
hair included. So I'm getting there. But continue, my friend. I'm sure you have plenty more stories.
Yeah. So yeah, it was just inspired by A Virgin's Crown, and if you actually listen to the song, it's just like it seems like a budget version of A Virgin's Crown, to be honest. like a Walmart version of it. Yeah, and then the next song is it's called Cryptobiological Neonatal Miscreation, which literally just translates to a deformed baby monster, in a sense. But it's actually about an Indonesian ghost called Tuyul, which kind of looks like it's basically a fetus that is made mythically, and what it does, it actually obeys your every command, but people usually use it to ask it to steal money from other people. And that is legitimately the backstory. So it's like these little guys trying to go around villages and stealing other people's money, and we still believe to this day that these creatures exist and are made by witch doctors in the process, and they're kept in glass bottles until they're released, and
Oh my
you feed
God.
them blood. You feed them blood on a daily basis for them to survive. Yeah, so it's about that. It's about this guy, sort of made, in a sense, went to a witch doctor and asked them to make this fetal monster kind of thing.
Fetal
And-
abomination.
Yeah, yeah. I was definitely like in that whole Dickie Allen mood when I wrote the lyrics. Definitely, man. So yeah, it's about this guy went to a witch doctor, asked him to make this fetal monster for him, and asked him to go around the village, steal other people's money. But at the end of the day, he got rich, and but he forgot to feed the monster some blood. So the lore is, if the Tuyul gets angry, he can grow to a gigantic size and actually kill the person or eat it. So at the end of the day, at the end of the lyrics, that guy actually dies because the Tuyul ate him. So,
Bro.
just wild imagination. Well, not really imagination, because that's how the folklore is.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Indonesia. And moving on, there's third song it's called Morbid Obsession, which
Right.
is basically completely inspired by the Black Dahlia murder song, Death Mass Divine. It's about the same story. It's about this are you familiar with the Carl Tanzler story?
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah, I might be wrong. I wrote that song. I actually wrote that song in high school, so that was like 15 years ago. But yeah, so with a good friend of mine. So so it sort of sounds old school, that score kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, it's about this guy that has about this doctor. I think he's either British or American doctor that has a love relationship with his patient, and she actually passed away, and he had a romantic relationship with the corpse for around 7 years, stolen from the grave, and put to his own house in his basement. And I think his kids and the police found out about it eventually, and I think he was jailed afterwards.
Right.
So it's about that. It's about it's about a love story, well, sort of. It's about a gruesome love story. So yeah, it's a whole Dickie Allen kind of
Yeah.
vibe to it. Oh, and then the next song is about aliens. It's called Megalith. It's actually an alien story, but originates from Indonesia. So
Sweet.
yeah, apparently in Java, there's actually a megalith in Java that's supposed to be the biggest pyramid on Earth right now.
Ooh.
It's as big as a mountain. So when they uncover the mountain, it's actually just like a one big huge pyramid. Nobody knew up until today what the temple or pyramid is for. Is it for prayer, sacrificial rituals, or
Right.
is it burial? Up until today, we don't know. But the site is there. Um, yeah, the site is there. You can go look it up in Google. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember the actual name. I think it's like Gunung Pancar or something. Please, Indonesians, correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, but yeah, it got like global news at one point, got viral, and people start speculating that it's about aliens. So why not just write a song that says
Yeah.
it is about it?
Yeah. Might as well
So, yeah.
endorse it.
Yeah, might as well endorse it, right? So yeah, it's about this giant megalith in Java that the aliens made to show their power. It's very Rings of Saturn sort of
Right.
vibe to it. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's it. Oh yeah, and another song that I released. One more song is about this creature called babi ngepet. It's actually another Indonesian ghost, is where you can create a pig that steals money from other people. So it's so stupid.
Wait, okay.
But
So quick
yeah,
question. This
yeah,
this pig thief song. That's the one with like the weird, like realistic looking pig dude, right?
yeah,
Dude, that song was
yeah.
freaking nasty. I loved it. But like, wow. Yeah, continue. Like,
Thank you. Yeah. So I tried to sound as much as like as heavy as possible, because the correlation between pigs sounding like pig squeal, guttural, and stuff like that,
yeah.
and pigs being fat, heavy pigs. So I kind of want to correlate like heavy song
Yeah.
kind of thing. And lyrically, it's about this guy. If he uses that, if he's hungry for greed and he uses this pig to uh, do his bad deeds, he will eventually get turned to a pig as well at the end. So he did get turned to a pig, and apparently, like 2 weeks ago, they went viral again in Indonesia. They're speculating that a village has been using this pig to steal other people's money, and it's just hilarious. And this is on the news, like big news.
That's it. That's crazy to me, man.
Yeah,
Like,
like
I would watch the news every day if that was what was being talked about. Not like, oh, someone started a fire down the freeway. I'm like, I don't care about that. I want to learn about monsters. Like,
yeah, it's literally this guy is accused of having this babi ngepet and stealing other people's money, and his neighbors complain that he has this babi ngepet, and they're worried that this pig will steal all their money. It's literally
amazing.
still happening right now. Yeah, so it's about that, and it's about that. And another song is about Wewe Gombel, which is, let's say, probably the most gruesome story around the whole discography. Did I pronounce that right?
yeah,
Discography.
you
Yeah. It's about this um this story of a couple. It's Indonesian folklore, by the way.
yeah. Okay.
It's about this story of a couple, but one cannot the lady cannot, I don't know the English word for it. She cannot carry a baby.
Okay.
So eventually the husband cheated on her and discarded her, she just got bestowed, like, no, like she just got discarded because she couldn't have a baby. And I guess at one point, like, sorry, she had a baby, but it was always miscarriaged in a sense, right?
Oh,
She couldn't conceive. I guess that's the case.
conceive.
She
Yeah,
couldn't conceive.
there
Yeah.
you go.
So yeah, she got ostracized, but by the whole village, after she got jealous that her husband actually cheated on her, and she killed her husband because of that. And the whole village got angry and tried to kill her, basically. So she ran away, still pregnant with the miscarriage baby, and eventually killed herself, hung herself on a tree. So this is a folklore in Indonesia, and eventually the ghost became what is known right now as Wewe Gombel. So basically, it's this ghost, this grandmother kind of lady
Yeah.
that has guts falling all over the place, and carrying a dead fetus everywhere. And the story is she's actually a really nice ghost that she will, because she couldn't conceive a child, she will always try to protect kids that got lost in the forest and things like that. So yeah, the Weiwei song is actually a very sad one. So I try to make the song as sad as possible with the melody. Of course, yeah, it's that featured Derek Connolly from Nithful, and Feast of the Antipathy, if I pronounce that
Okay.
correct, Antipathy, yeah, from Florida.
Yeah.
So
Feast of the antipathy. Antipathy. Just like a little bounce.
yeah,
Antipathy. But
super hard to pronounce.
no, you're good, man. So like, let's see. That was way like, dude. One thing I've always enjoyed, your logo is really cool. I don't know if you did that or not, but it's really cool. So we got Weiwei. I want to learn a little bit though about Naparusek, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yep, perfect.
Sick. I have a little bit of a foreign tongue, but not perfected by any means. So
Nah, it's so good, man. You pronounce my name, you pronounce Makhlvk like perfectly.
yeah,
That's crazy.
sick. I think I'm too white, and then I feel it. I feel it. I get groovy with it. But to say the least, your most recent EP, Naparusek. What is that about, like, in whole? Is there a narrative continuity behind that EP? Was there any, like, main strategy that you had when you were creating it? Because this is the reason I found out about you. This is how I got into you. This is how I got into your art. And I cannot emphasize, I don't think a lot of vocalists can emphasize how crazy it is that you do what you do. You exceed all of the vocalists in our scene, except maybe Cameron McBride of Methwitch, but that's about it. Other than that, you are the best of the best as far as vocals and stuff like that go. And you're a solo musician, so that's even fucking better. But I'm curious. Tell me all you can about Naparusek. And yeah, take it away.
Yeah, first of all, just a disclaimer. I am nowhere near as good as vocalists in the States, actually. So yeah, I try to be. So it's just so the question was what the album is about and the strategy, right?
Yeah,
So
lyrically.
yeah, the album, yeah, Napurusak is actually kesurupan, spelled
Ooh.
backwards. Kesurupan actually means possessed. So again, it's about ghosts.
Whoa. Yo, I love
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, it's just like I just turned it backward to make it sound more cult.
That works. I love
So
it.
yeah, and the logo, I did not design the logo myself. A guy from Java did that for me.
Mm,
His name is Harry Mythology Art. So you can just check his Instagram out. He does logos for all these slam bands.
I'll plug it
So
down below.
for sure, man. He made the logo. Yeah, the whole song is about again mythical creatures. No, I don't stray away far from that.
Yeah.
It's about mythical creatures. Again, you can just research it yourself.
Yeah.
First song, behold the creative of perversion. It's about this mythical creature called a Gundurua, which is just basically this giant King Kong creatures that goes around and rape women. Um, and yeah, it can shapeshift to a very handsome man and sleep with other people's wives. It's a very perverted guy. So yeah, and then the songs Simanis is about a similar rape victim of a lady that that soul's just haunting in Ancol in Jakarta. And another one is about Dancing Village is about a village of a mythical village that it's about all the ghosts there just dances around and kills people and take their souls. So if you wander around and you stop there in the village, you're kind of
Like you're screwed.
can I curse?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you can.
Yeah, sorry. You're screwed basically. So yeah, and Either King Shall Return is about actually Either King Shall Return is just a story that I made just straight out of my ass. It's about this king from the underworld, which is basically Makhlvk, that he got basically outcasted because he's stupid. Like he's too joking around. He's not smart. He's a goofy guy. He got outcasted and he wants to be back. He wants to get the throne back because now his dad still has his throne, and no, his family doesn't like him. It's just a stupid story.
So I'm gonna pause that right there. I love
Yeah.
that Makhlvk is like an actual being. Is the mask that you wear? Here's a question. That mask, does that represent Makhlvk? This dude, this random ass dude, and he's just telling all the stories of all these Makhlvk per se.
Yeah, basically. So I play a character. Makhlvk is actually a character. So I always go like Dunia, Lain, which actually just means underworld in Indonesian. So
Oh,
he's supposed to be like the king of the underworld kind of
right.
thing. I wear this mask, but he's actually an idiot. So he's actually a goofy idiot that he doesn't have like respect. Therefore, the story is like all is usually just him being angry. Like I the King Shall Return is about that. So yeah, he doesn't get respect. He's a goofy guy, but
But
he's
he
supposed to be
will.
like the throne.
He will take it back
You will take
someday.
it back. So yeah, I wear this mask. This isn't a custom mask. It
No.
is a mask from Java. It is actually a Betawi mask that you dance around with.
Right.
So yeah, it's a traditional Indonesian mask that women usually use for their traditional dance. So this
Oh.
represents a lady actually, but I just choose it. I just choose this mask because it kind of looks creepy and,
Yeah, no,
and
it does. I fucking thought it was creepy. I'm like, wait, why does this dude never show his face though? What does he look like under that?
Yeah.
It creates suspense. It creates mystery. And even
Yeah,
with
man.
even with Makhluk's mask off, you have a beast. You have a beast. You have a monster. You have a king. Like, and
Yeah.
he, the true king, shall return and take his vengeance tenfold. Like, all this fun stuff. This is history. This is a legacy right here. This is a story. And that's what we're here for. That is what we are here for. And I freaking love this. I love this. But, by all means, my good sir, continue.
Yeah, so yeah, the reason why I don't show my face is because I don't look metal in a sense. I don't look too badass, so I don't have the confidence to do that. Like, I can't grow a full beard and look all badass. I'm not, I'm not too covered in
Stop.
tattoos and all that stuff.
Stop.
So I just use this as like an excuse to be creepy. But yeah, so historically, this is not a mask designed for Makhlvk. It's a traditional mask, and why I don't use this for this interview because it's a hassle for me to use
Yeah.
this and
He-
pretend to be Makhlvk for hours and hours straight.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to talk. Like,
yeah,
it
I
would
wouldn't
just
be able to
fucking
talk.
rough.
Yeah.
That's why in his music
Uh,
videos he's like angled up and shit, people, because he's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to keep it on while he's jamming out and doing his thing. So just keep that in mind if anybody ever had that question, I guess. But continue.
Yeah, man. I think we talked about this
We did.
earlier, right? I can't talk because the mask of Indonesia is you don't have a string to cover your whole face with it. So you have to actually bite it. There's a place for you to bite it. So how it works is you just put it on and you bite it. So if I do this, I can't really talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just the whole issue. So they use this. They use that biting thing. I don't know what it's called. So because in the middle of the dance, there are parts that you have to put the mask on and put the masks off. So the dancers have to take it quickly and just put it on their face. They don't have time to ruin their hair with the string and everything. So that's just historically how it is, and in most Indonesian dances. So yeah, it's all traditional, but no, it's not related to mythical creatures or anything. The mask.
But
There
you can
are
make it that
masks. Yeah, I mean, like I'm making stories up.
way. Yeah. Like seriously. Seriously.
But yeah, that's how it goes. We have like hundreds of masks, like if not thousands of masks. Some of them are related to mythical stories, but a lot of bands have used that sort of devilish looking mask, and I don't kind of want to
Oh,
look
right.
like other Indonesian bands. But like, so yeah, this is why I use it. So yeah, man. Thank you for that question. That's I love it.
Hell yeah,
But-
man.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
again, thank you for remembering the lyrics as well. That's I'm surprised.
Dude.
And
Dude, what can I say? That's what I'm about. When it comes to like telling the stories of musicians all across the world, which is the purpose of this podcast, basically, I want to learn your story. I want to learn the stories that you have written so far for your project, and like, is there depth behind it? Is there like a personal story? That type of stuff. The mystery, the
Yeah.
suspense, the emotion, the drama, like all of that fun stuff. That's what we're here for. That's the only reason I do this podcast, and because it is very like, and I'm so incredibly grateful for it constantly. But people, it is not hard to talk to any of us in the scene at all. Like, just reach out, and even though we sound like we're angry half the time, even though we sound like we want to murder people half the time, in reality, people, we don't. Because instead, that is how we get our negative emotion out, if anything. If not, we're just into more psychotic art and culture, which, red flags for some, but for those who understand, well, you understand. As simple as that. But kind of migrating and diving back into Narupasek, which I guess is backwards. That's freaking cool. I love that. Kind of like finishing off Naparusek, which was your most recent bigger chapter, your most recent bigger project. Tell us about the rest of the tracks, I guess.
Sure. I guess I'll start out with the strategy as you asked.
Yeah.
So yeah, lyrically, I try to write a horror story for the song. So nothing is personal, right? Here
Yeah.
it's just basically I'm making a horror story, and through music. I heard about this in one of your interviews that Dickie Allen does that as well with the Distant Guys as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically that, right? And that's lyrically. So just try to be like first person, like all these demonic creatures. So
Yeah, yeah,
try to
exactly.
sound as demonic as possible. Like, yeah, yeah, man. If I'm writing about this big giant gorilla ape perverted guy, I want to sound as low as possible. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of gutturals and like yeah. So, so it's a lot of all those stuff. And if I'm writing about the Simanis, which is like a banshee, I try to make it high and like try to make it like flamboyant as possible.
Fucking crazy how high you can get, dude. Fucking
Yeah.
crazy. Guaranteed. Like, again, if anything, you are the best at doing that in the scene. There's maybe Danny Filth, Cameron McBride, Greg Gilbert, who's my homie, and we're about to get a vocal cover done. That should be fucking cool. Like, other than them, you actually have been able to break the pitch. Let's see. Okay, so there's you. There's Larry Harper of the White Bear Project. Shout out to him as well, because we're trying to get him on the podcast. So let's do that as soon as possible, Larry.
Great band.
But,
Great band.
dude, yes. And then Disciples of Exile. They're also cooking up stuff right now. So everybody, keep that in mind. But we got Larry Harper, we got Agung, we got Greg Gilbert, Cameron McBride, and Danny Filth. Those 5 people, those 5 have broken the pitch boundary, guaranteed. They have done whistle tones so high, I could barely tell it's a person. Like, that's an achievement in and of itself. You can be an opera singer, break the pitch and be like, ah, and just break glass. But can you sound like a tea kettle? No, I didn't think so. Like,
Yeah.
it's a little bit bold and, being positively biased for sure. But it takes talent. I don't even know how you do that. Part of me doesn't want to know how you do that. But
Sure. I can share, I guess. So there's actually one more vocalist that does it ridiculously high. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's in French. Guillaume, from Beyond Deviation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he sounds like a kettle. It's amazing. It's amazing. So it's crazy. You should check those guys out. They did the 400 vocalist thing recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's their OG vocalist is super high in terms of his pitch. So how I do it is it's actually a little bit of cheating, right? Because that whistly high that I do is from the tunnels instead of my own pitch. So I sort of like
You don't have to demonstrate if like you're all good.
I think my neighbors would complain. It's like 7:30
Right.
7:30
It's way
a.m.
too
right now.
early.
Yeah, so, and I live in an apartment. But yeah, it's basically just tongue manipulation. You do a sort of I don't know what it's called, not a fry, but those sort of screechy screams. And when you use the tunnels, you sort of like try to pitch it pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just pitch it like so it kind of gets kind of high and gets higher. So, but that's how I sort of quote unquote cheated, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
It's not
that's
cheating. Everybody does
it's not.
that. It's not cheating if everybody
Yeah,
does it. Like, come on, man.
yeah. So yeah, that's just a tip on how to do it. And the tunnels is like, I put the tongue onto the left and keep
Yeah.
and to make the sort of air hole kind of tighter, instead of putting my tongue all in front, and you can have airways from both ways. So this is kind of like trying to make it just one small airway, and so
Ooh.
it's sort of like whistly sound. Like, I don't know if I
Right.
can. So yeah, I can't do it like very like quietly because I think I'll disturb all the neighbors. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
so your tongue kind of goes like instead of like how people usually just rest it on the front of the teeth kind of thing.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's basically how I do it, and that's just how I approach vocally. I try to be as inhuman as possible. I try to be, right. So sometimes
Yeah.
I do still you can still hear my voice in it, because I'm not perfect, of course, but yeah, I just try to be as dicky as possible. I'm not shamed about. I'm not shame. I'm not shamed about it. Like I'm completely like influenced by him
Yeah.
and Travis Ryan, especially his sort of
Yes. Yes.
clean singy song, clean
Fucking
singy vocals.
yes.
So I kind of try to rip him off in a sense in terms of vocal technique. So yeah, so that's just basically the strategy of it. Just do as inhuman as possible, but at the same time, if you notice, there's always a chorus in
Yeah.
in all the song, and for the chorus I try to be as melodic as possible. So I try to do all that cattle decap stuff and just pretend, in the studio, just pretend I'm Travis Ryan. So yeah, that's it. That's in terms of vocals. That's just what I do. In terms of songwriting strategy,
Right.
I kind of want to share this.
Yes.
It's a bit different from how how people usually write deathcore.
Right.
So I approach this as a pop song, to be honest. If you see the chorus and everything, it is actually, if you see the songs, it's basically a pop structure for all the song plus a breakdown in the middle and probably at the end, or slam part. But
Yeah.
essentially it's verse bridge chorus, and repeats all the time, catchy chorus,
Yeah.
catchy repetitive chorus in a sense. So sort of like how this is very bad for me saying this, but sort of how Billie Eilish does it. So she puts a lot of like repetitive notes in it. So that
Yeah.
that 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 that. So yeah, that's kind of like what I try to do. So if you notice that there's a lot of same notes in the choruses, that's basically a very pop approach to doing it. And also the guitars, if you notice, it's very rock influence, like pop
Marilyn
rock,
Manson.
radio rock influence. So it's how I write the songs is basically I'm heavily inspired by, as you notice, probably Marilyn Manson and Ghost. So I would listen to Ghost songs and all that because I'm super into Ghost, and just take that sort of approach. What would Ghost do? And I write my songs in a six-string guitar, and then once I get the pre-pro done and the structure done with a six-string guitar, I basically make it more deathcore and complicated with an eight-string.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the chorus and everything. So sometimes there's a combination between a very very simple guitar riffs and very outrageous breakdowns, and like suddenly there's a low E and low D out of nowhere. So that's just how I write the song strategically. So just be as pop structured as possible,
Yes.
plus breakdowns and slams. Catchy choruses to
Yeah.
sing like Travis Ryan, and write the song in a six string, convert it to an eight string, or yeah. So that's basically it, man. That's how I write the songs,
Right.
and yeah, how I write the breakdowns is as usual as how people do it, just
Yeah.
either out of my head or just
Get as heavy
randomly.
as possible.
Thank you, man. Yeah, don't and of course, yeah. Tune your guitars as low as possible.
Yeah, it's a weird way of writing music, but it works.
Yeah.
People are entranced by it. And I mean, here's the way I think about it. And like, dude, hands down, this is an epiphany I had. The first time I listened to Nabarusek, I had a vision. Have you seen Sleeping Beauty, the original one?
The cartoon one.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
I
of
know
course, yeah.
it's a weird way
That's like
it's a weird way of
that's
starting.
okay, where is this going?
So basically, when it was Maleficent's castle, and he had all these goblins, all these gargoyles, and they were kind of scattering around. Basically, when I listened to Naparusek and most of what you made so far, I thought of either them or all the goblins from what is the movie? Hold on, I'm so sorry. It's like Labyrinth, Battle of the Labyrinth or something like that.
Pan's Labyrinth? Is
No,
it?
not Pan's Labyrinth. It had David Bowie in it. He had like the floofy hair and stuff. How he had his group of goblins. When I listened to Makhlvk for the first time, and I did this like overnight when I was doing tag shifts and stuff, I thought of all of them just kind of like dancing around and doing like Russian dances and stuff, and just like witness and furl and like witness and furl, like they're all just jumping around and partying, and they're fucking like celebrating with their giant ogre overlords or some shit, and like, dude, for the first time in my life, I just like a big ol' freaking like evil smile carved into my face. I'm like, this is fucking goblin chant music, and I love it. This is great. And I can't emphasize enough how much the EP caught me off guard first. Like, the smile mainly carved after that first intro track. I think you've done your highest one so far. I'm like, ooh, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? Like, and I was just, vibing. Obviously, I was at work and I was doing tags, so I'm just big ol' smile on my fist, big ol' evil smile on my face. Because, like, I imagine that Makhlvk is what goblins would listen to while they're celebrating, while they're partying. Or, I also had the epiphany and the statement in my head, like, this is what I want to write. I want to write music that is appropriate for a dark gothic theater. The main characters are goblins, and they're celebrating their victory over, like, the protagonist or something like that. Witness and and like, just fucking tipping back beers and shit. They're like, we did good today. Like, all this shit. They're celebrating because, like, the bad guys won. Whoa, victory. Like, that type of thing. And that's just, like, the whole freaking vibe that this project has given me so far. So, again, and again, and again, really do appreciate you stopping by and, deciding to sit down and talk with us about this, talk about what has happened so far, the story so far. Now, if there are any details of any future endeavors beside your rendition of Beethoven, right? That was your last track?
Mozart, yeah.
Okay, Mozart. There we go. It's either Beethoven or Mozart. So you had the rendition for Mozart that you did, added lyrics and all that to it, just made it fucking heavy. You would never think that you could turn classical music heavy and have it work, but you did. You did. And that's why I have a lot of respect for you. But, Mr. Makhlvk, Mr. Agung, the king of the Dunia Lain, even though he was rejected, he will be the king of the Dunia Lain sooner or later. Again, he will rise back to the throne. He will take back what's his. But, what is the next step for Makhlvk? Do we have an album coming in the near future within this year? Do we have an EP coming within this year? What is your next big step for your project?
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for all the kind words. Like, you're super nice.
Can only help.
Yeah. Again, yeah. The whole goblin stuff. Yes. It's like very inspired by Disney stuff as well.
There you go.
Yeah. So for the future, I am actually right now writing a full length, or at least attempting to write a full length.
Right.
There are a few pre-pros that's been done. But it's still at that pre-pro stage, to where I can just I might change everything else later on. But yeah, I am writing a full length, hopefully to be released. The plan was to be released this year, but I highly doubt I have the capability to do so, uh, like creatively wise.
Yeah,
But yeah, is there anything new? Yes, yes, definitely. So the songs are gonna be,
quite
uh,
continuous.
yeah, it's gonna be weirder. It's gonna
Mm,
be weirder. It's gonna be it's a cliche thing to say, right? To promote an
yeah.
album, but like it's gonna be way weirder. Exploring different tunings, exploring different vocal styles, exploring even more mainstream styles. Featuring. I'm thinking of featuring a lot of Indonesian artists as well, like
Ooh.
big guys here from big bands here. Just to make sure that it's still in a sense I can still be in the Indonesian scene, sort of. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's about that. Yeah, so we got like songs that are like very mainstream, but like very heavy at the same time, very
Yeah.
catchy with 9 string guitars. Well, actually, it's an 8 string tuned to a 9 string, so that guy is tuned to double drop B. So yeah, very thick gauge strings. And then also exploring with other tunings like drop G as well. Like I've never tuned so high with Makhlvk, but like exploring and like sort of putting on a lot of horror punk and ska vibes as well. So I'm super excited for that.
I
Yeah,
am
it's
too.
a lot of new things and like writing a 20-minute song as well. So which is sort of like very classical influenced.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's trying to explore as much as possible,
Yeah.
vocally, instrumentally, everything. And so I just hope I don't disappoint the listeners. So if I
Dude,
if I screw up, I apologize in advance.
no. Here,
But
see,
yeah.
here's what I'm gonna say, creator to creator, right now. Unfortunately, there's a saying I have, and this applies to almost everything in life. No matter the hundreds of changes you make to yourself, whether in your life, in your mind, in like your physical environment, or your spiritual environment, doesn't matter. No matter the hundreds of changes you make to yourself to improve and what you feel would be evolving yourself and just progressing, taking that next step in life, there will be at least 100 people somewhere in the world who are just like, fuck this guy. He's scum. For whatever reason. And that's why it's cool that everybody has so much space here on the planet. Because otherwise, well, we would all be getting spit on, or we would be the person spitting on someone else. You know what I mean? So, to say the least, you do you, man. You do you. You are a musical prodigy in the scene. A lot of people in the underground scene, including me, Larry. I introduced your music to Greg Gilbert. I'm not sure if he took a listen to it because, like, we all lead pretty busy lives here in the States as well. Like, dude, you're a prodigy. You're a prodigy in the heavy scene. I think you're representing Indonesia pretty well, because I didn't even fucking know that Indonesia had a slam scene. I didn't know that their main music scene per se was slam. Like, that's the dream right there, man. That, you got all of your fucking like news and what you're talking about monsters instead of all these stupid ass politicians here we have in the States. Like, y'all are talking about all the fun stuff. You are living the fun stuff. And like, I don't know. I don't know if you have like any, like, you wish you left Indonesia or anything like that, or if you have any regrets that you could just want to leave behind in Indonesia. But speaking from a person who's supposed to be from the freest country in the world, like, it seems that you got quite the gig going on over there. And it seems like you have a very colorful and tropical lifestyle. You got a very tropical life ahead of you. And again, you're a musical prodigy. You are. You really are. You man the whole ship. You man the mast. You man the wheel. You man the cannons, the sails, everything. You do it on your own, and you do it with finesse, my guy. So, to say the least, I think it doesn't matter what people think, because, for example, Cameron McBride of Methwich, he released Endwell last year. Basically, because he happened to have a clean singing featurette, Slam Worldwide refused to let him have his new album on Slam Worldwide. Fucking stupid. That's just me, though. So, if that ends up happening for this newer project of yours, Just keep in mind that there will be plenty of us still representing, sponsoring, and promoting your content, because I personally respect what you do. I respect you as a musician, and you seem like a pretty cool guy. You actually remind me of a couple of my couple buddies of mine, one of them being from Alaska. But yeah, like, you do it with confidence, you do it with finesse, you do it with a fucking, like, exploding background, just walking away like the action hero with great confidence. Yeah, I did that. What the fuck are you gonna do? Try to stop me? Puts on some sunglasses, keeps on running, vacation shirt, like, just flapping in the wind, doves behind you as well, that type of thing. Do it with gusto. Be confident in your work, my friend, because you are a genius. But there you have it, folks. This was episode 7 of the Anatomy Podcast with Agung, otherwise known as Makhlvk, the former leader, the former lord of the underworld, the Dunia Lain. He's got plenty of stuff coming up. If you haven't already, I'll be putting the Naparusek EP down below, Spotify link down below, all that fun stuff. Tomorrow, we will be chatting with Lucca and other members of Mental Cruelty from Germany, kind of reviewing on their first premiere weekend for A Hill to Die Upon. I do appreciate you stopping by, answering all the questions that you did, and allowing both of us to kind of bounce back and forth, me mostly, and I do apologize, like, just being able to talk all that we have. Any last greetings before we head out?
Sure. I just want to thank you so much to, hand over the opportunity for me doing this. It's actually like my first podcast unmasked.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's a big thing, and in English as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much, Sean. So glad that we met on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, hopefully I can see you one day in the States, or if you're in Indonesia, I'll take you around and we'll go ghost hunting.
Let's fucking do it, buddy. Well, be sure to have a great day, my friend. You got a big day ahead of you. Mine's wrapping up. We'll see you later.
For sure. See ya.
Later.